This is an NBC News special report.
Friday morning, we're going to interrupt programming. We've been telling you this morning there has been a shooting at a school in Newtown. This is the Sandy Hook Elementary School.
The Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut.
There has been a deadly shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut.
Shooter's connection to the school. There was one unconfirmed report we heard earlier that this may have been the father of a student.
Authorities have now identified him as Adam Lanza, 20 years old. Adam Lanza. They say that it's his mother who was the kindergarten teacher at the school.
Believed to be Ryan Lanza, and that he went up to where his mom worked in Newtown as a kindergarten teacher.
We have just read his Facebook page and matched the picture, and in fact, he is 24 years old. He lives in Hoboken, New Jersey.
The shooter's name, again, Ryan Lanza. He had a Facebook page.
On Facebook, we understand that Ryan Lanza is calling himself a Hoboken resident. All we know is this was tied to him.
There were actually 4 handguns recovered inside the school, not just 2, as we were initially told.
2 shooters were initially believed involved in the mass shooting.
There were reports, you touched on it earlier, Trace touched on it earlier, of a possible accomplice.
We know that, as we mentioned, one shooter is confirmed dead. They do believe there may have been a second shooter.
Each media outlet was so eager to be the first to report the information of the Sandy Hook shooting that they failed to report it accurately. Coverage came in skeptical and factually wrong, often with corrections posted after the fact. Reports from Fox News speculated the killer to have been a father of the student at the elementary school, while several reports said his mother, Nancy Lanza, was a kindergarten teacher at the school. The very beginning of the coverage identified the shooter as Ryan Lanza, Adam's 24-year-old brother, by several news outlets, including MSNBC, Fox, and ABC. Another piece of information being thrown around was the number of perpetrators involved in the massacre. Several stations, including Fox and ABC, speculated the reports of a second shooter on the loose, but didn't confirm any information. The type of weapon used was also a common misconception throughout broadcasts, going from a suspected 2 guns to 3 or 4, reports even stating that a rifle was involved in the shooting. This factually incorrect reporting showed that the media valued ratings over accuracy.
Spent all day trying to better understand this young man and the troubles that led him to this horrible act.
Until today, Adam Lanza was known mostly in his neighborhood as someone who did not play well with others.
Adam Lanza was a child of an affluent Connecticut town and the child of divorce.
He was not connected with the other kids. My son played with him when they were young, but I think the fact that the parents were divorced must have contributed.
The shooter identified as 20-year-old Adam Lanza, but little is known about him.
Well, he was very quiet and withdrawn. I guess he had a few friends, but was mostly to himself.
Lanza had been an honor roll student at Newtown High School, but it wasn't clear if he had a job.
It's unusual for a kid to kind of go unnoticed, or for people not even to be aware of who he is.
As Newtown, Connecticut is still trying to make sense of this inexplicable shooting, new details are emerging on the Lanza family. Both Nancy and her ex-husband Peter Lanza were required to complete a parenting education program necessary for divorced couples with children under 18.
The media used Adam Lanza's mental disorders to typecast him and individuals like him, such that people with similar disabilities are made to feel alienated and feared by the public. Due to the media's tendency to do this, experts made sure the public knew that there is no correlation between autism and violent behavior. Lanza was also being compared to previous school shooters like the Columbine killers. Like the Columbine killers, reporters said he was quiet, kept to himself, and had few friends. According to the National Association of School Psychologists, quote, "There is no profile of risk factors that accurately determine the next school shooter," end quote. The use of this profiling increases the likelihood of misidentifying young people. As coverage continued, reporters narrowed in the focus on Lanza's personal life even more. We soon found out more about his life before he became a killer. He was an honor roll student, belonged to the technology club, and was a child of divorce. The relationship between Adam and his mother, Nancy, was being further examined. Neighbors interviewed said that Lanza's mother was demanding. Media professionals then speculated that Lanza felt powerless, so maybe he wanted to regain power through this violent act.
Now, the deadly shooting rampage in Connecticut sparking nearly non-stop coverage by the media. News crews from around the world are converging on the scene, giving the killer a level of notoriety that he certainly never had in life. The message is clear to other disturbed kids. If I shoot up my school, I can become famous. The American Psychological Association urged news outlets not to publicize the writings and video of the Virginia tech killer, fearing it would spark another wave of copycats. Today in California, police announced that they have arrested a potential copycat after the deadly shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. They say he posted threats on Facebook targeting elementary schools in Los Angeles.
A man in Indiana has been arrested after threatening to try to repeat the tragedy that occurred Friday in Newtown, Connecticut.
This type of story brings light to other concerns, such as the nature of copycat criminology and oversaturation by the media as a whole. We've had 20 years of mass murderers, throughout which I have repeatedly told CNN and other media, if you don't want to propagate more mass murders, don't start the story with sirens blaring. Don't have photographs of the killer. Don't make this 24/7 coverage. Do everything you can to not make the body count the lead story, not to make the killer some kind of anti-hero. Do localize the story to the affected community and make it as boring as possible in every other market. Because every time we have intense saturation coverage of a mass murder, we expect to see one or two more within the week.
Instead of zeroing in on the Newtown victims and their families, the majority of the coverage was of Lanza. This sensationalism of the killer, making him out to be some sort of anti-hero, gives rise to the phenomenon known as the copycat effect. Following the Newtown shooting, copycat threats were made across the nation. This same behavior was seen after the Columbine shooting in 1999, where 400 reported incidents occurred in the month following the shooting. As coverage of the 20-year-old killer progressed, experts warned media professionals to tone it down in an effort to discourage this sensationalism. According to Lauren Coleman, author of The Copycat Effect, How the Media and Pop Culture Trigger the Mayhem in Tomorrow's Headlines, the copycat effect is the media's dirty little secret that deals with the power of mass communication and culture to create an epidemic of similar behaviors. Dr. Park Dietz, a forensic psychiatrist, advised the media professionals to localize this story to the affected community and make it as boring as possible in every other market, because every time we have an intense saturation coverage of a mass murder, we expect to see 2 or 3 more within a week. He has also repeatedly asked CNN not to feature photographs of the killer and not to make it a 24/7 ordeal. He said that straying from making the killer out to be some sort of anti-hero is crucial as well.
Any gunshots or anything like that?
Well, police officers, like, they were kinda, because there's police officers, like, right out the door, like, trying to find the guy.
Friday's tragedy, the Newtown community has been overrun by media crews from all across the nation. Now people in that close-knit community seem to be saying collectively, we have had enough.
The media bombarded Newtown, Connecticut immediately after the shootings took place. According to the SPJ Code of Ethics, reporters should practice sensitive journalism in order to minimize harm. Unfortunately, the media did not exercise this principle while covering Newtown. News vans and satellites filled the streets and parks, creating a media frenzy. Pointer.com compiled some reactions to the media-fueled circus. BBC correspondent Johnny Diamond states that he had never seen anything like this before, nor felt so uncomfortable being a part of it. British outlets alone sent about 100 media personnel to the small suburban town. Newtown resident Terry Brunelli said, "Please just tell them to ease up. It happened and now we're going through it. Just let it be for now." The Newtown Bee, the local newspaper, posted on Facebook, imploring all our colleagues and journalists to please stay away from the victims. In a letter to the New England Newspaper and Press Association, Bee associate editor John Voket said, A growing number of incidents have been occurring as I write this Monday morning, involving reporters and media crews invading the yards and space of grieving survivors, school staff, and responders. Using a press pool would have made reporting Newtown much easier on the victims and residents. The information would have been accurate, and Newtown would have not been in the spotlight at such a vulnerable time. Besides crossing physical boundaries and extending their stay, the press made another controversial mistake. They interviewed children right outside of Sandy Hook Elementary School directly following the shooting. According to the Code of Ethics, minimizing harm includes showing compassion for whomever might be directly affected by the event. When dealing with children, reporters should realize that they are extra vulnerable and exercise extra sensitivity. The Dart Center for Journalism and Trauma offers a tip sheet of guidelines for interviewing children. Most, if not all, of these rules were broken during the Newtown coverage. The press interviewed children without consent or any guardians being present, usually on their ways to and from school. In addition to interviewing children at the crime scene, the press sensationalized the victims. Sandy Hook students recorded Somewhere Over the Rainbow with pop star Ingrid Michaelson. That would be their charity song that people worldwide can download on iTunes. They performed the song on Good Morning America. The Sandy Hook chorus sang America the Beautiful with Jennifer Hudson during the Super Bowl halftime show. The media should have been more careful with exploiting the victims and turning them into national celebrities.
Good day. We're back on the air with our continuing coverage of the horrible.
We will be back as soon as we hear anything else about this shooting from Newtown Elementary School.
We'll have the latest.
We will have full reports throughout the day, and I will see you again on World News tonight.